Hey, what's up guys? Kane here with XBLA fans, and I'm going to be giving you a quick taste of Trailblazers from Rising Star Games. This is out now on Xbox One for around $29.99. I think it might still be on sale depending on when you happen to check out this video. But Trailblazers is kind of cool. So you have a couple different modes. You have a story mode, you have custom races, and you have online. And you have the ability to play this game online, with up to 2 to 6 people. It has online co-op. You can also play local multiplayer, and you can also play cross-platform co-op, which is actually kind of cool. So while this game may not be in, Game Pass or part of Games of Gold, to where it has a huge player base just off that, it does have the ability to kind of try to sustain itself through that cross-platform play. So the campaign or whatnot has this kind of like story going on. I kind of jumped into a later race because honestly, at the end of the day, I'm not really too worried about spoiling this for you. It's more of something that's just kind of there. As far as the racing goes, that's where this game's gonna shine. This game definitely feels a little bit like a mix of something like Borderlands, Splatoon, and like F-Zero, which is kind of a neat little mix when you think about it. So if you notice, there's a lot of team racing involved in this game because you can kind of drift behind the color you paint down, and that allows you and your teammates to travel on it and go quicker, which is actually one of the cooler concepts I've seen in a game like this. A lot of times I'll play these kart racers and I'm like, man, I kind of just want to go play Mario Kart, at the end of it. But this was one of those games that while I was playing it, I was like, man, this is actually a really cool concept. So you're going to see me race. I'm not exactly the best, apparently. I just crashed into a wall like an idiot. But that's not unusual for me. So some of the cool things, and I still haven't gotten a great feel for this, is you do have to kind of balance when you're painting and when you're boosting. So when you're painting, you can't boost, and you lose what boost you kind of had. Whereas when you're traveling on your own color, you'll gradually build up boost from, ×1 all the way up to max. And you can get going pretty quick. In fact, I'll show you guys a different track later that is more or less just a quick little circle that you can easily boost like crazy on. So one of the cool things about this is, by the way you paint, you change the line on the race. So it can kind of dynamically change from race to race. It's not one of those games where you're always going to take the exact same path no matter what. A lot of these have multiple options, and whether or not, they're the same speed, it may end up being quicker or slower depending on whether or not you have the entire thing painted. So, like, you may be able to go to the right a little bit and avoid all the other players and keep it completely boosted for you, instead of having to go through, kind of the more heavily trafficked area that's now a giant Jackson Pollock painting on the ground. I will admit, this race right here is a perfect example of one I did not have issues with, but I am colorblind, and there was a specific color that I could not see at all. Now, that's obviously a limited issue, but I just wanted to mention it in case someone else had similar issues. Every once in a while, there's this, like, deeper red, and it was really, really hard for me to see that red on the track itself. And there are no options at this time for kind of fixing that for someone like me. So, when you're playing this kind of campaign mode, there's a couple different things going on, and you can kind of earn different missions. So as you beat the game, you can kind of, get these different, objectives, basically. So, like the top one's normally the easier one, and you can get up to 3 in each race. I don't really know what you do with them, because at the moment it doesn't seem like there's any kind of customization that you can, like, spend them on or anything, which is actually kind of a bummer. Something like that would have been really cool, in my opinion. Again, I've only played about 2 hours of this game, but from what I've played, I've enjoyed most of it. It's actually pretty solid. I'm going to jump ahead out of here, and we're going to go take a look at some of the custom options you have, because you can do some cool different things with that. So like I said, they have this kind of whole story going on during the campaign, and this is just kind of showing you it. Each different character in this has their own, you know, kind of stats, and that's kind of neat. It's always kind of cool when you see, you know, drivers who actually feel a little distinctly different, kind of have their own advantages and their own perks and own reasons to play as them. So, like, my favorite guy actually is this little frog dude who, I'll probably bust out for you guys. But this is what I was talking about earlier. The Robo, I think it's the Rimway or something, is just, like, super, super, super basic. And that's kind of cool, is that the fact that the level design is, it's pretty different. Some will have corkscrews, some will have, you know, just kind of basic laps. This is obviously your super simple concept. But what I've done here is, instead of making it one that you can paint, I've made it a gate race, and this is one of the differences you can do. So when you drive through these gates, it actually puts down the paint for you. And we got a little bit of a traffic jam here. I've never seen this before in my life. I just thought it was kind of interesting, so I left it in. I've never had that kind of crazy start where, like, me and the computer all ram into each other like that. It was just kind of bonkers. But as you can see, you can get some pretty good boosting going on. And this is one of those tracks where, instead of having the ability to, you know, paint yourself, you kind of got to get control of these rings. And this is a good example. This is the color I could not see, because I was wondering for a second why I was only seeing the green. But there is another color being put down. It's just not one that I can physically see at all. And so if you're having an issue with that, good luck to you. I mean, I'm sure that's a very limited issue, but just pointing it out. But I mean, like, this is just an example of how quick these races can go. This is one of the fastest tracks by far. And the game kind of has a lot of different options for how you can do scoring and stuff. So you can do it based on, you know, like, point system, or, you know, just who wins, the race itself. Kind of gives you a little bit more ability to do some kind of, like, co-op-y team stuff, which is kind of cool. So you can, you know, literally put down paint to help your team get ahead, you know, and you can do some other cool things. Some of the races, it'll literally, you know, give you points for, you know, how much boosting you did and how much painting you did and all the other different things, which is kind of neat. This is one of the later levels, just to give you a little bit of something different. I hope this isn't, I think this might be the same one I did earlier. Sorry about that. Like, now that I'm looking at it. But it's kind of neat. I like the fact that there is a decent bit of variety, and I really do like this kind of color concept. I think it's just kind of neat. Oh yeah, no, this is not the same one. Good, good, good. The music in this game is, like, passably good. You know, I feel like there's not a ton of variety, but it is kind of weird, because all of it is kind of catchy, and I feel like I've heard it before, but it's definitely not what I think it is. You know, it's almost like some kind of weird cover band that, like, has its own little Trailblazers version of songs somehow. It really threw me off when I was streaming this, trying to figure out what they were. Right there, you see me do the attacks. So if you thought this game was only about the painting, you can actually do some forward painting as well. Like right there, he did it back to me. You can use those abilities to kind of knock each other out and slow them down. Which adds another element to the game, because now you got to balance out whether or not you want to use your paint to actually paint, or if you want to save it to try to get that knockout, because you can only use that if you have a full paint bar, and that's just kind of neat. You can see over there on the left of my screen, it's kind of showing you everyone who's getting points and whatnot, and that's kind of just, again, one of the more unique things about the game is some of the ways they can do some of the scoring. I've found the bots to actually be pretty competitive for the most part. Like, you're not going to finish in last, obviously, but getting first is not the easiest at times, which is not a bad thing. So, definitely a game you're going to have to, like, learn a little bit. I definitely think it's something interesting. The price tag at $29.99, I'm going to let you totally decide that for yourself, because obviously for some people that may feel a little much. For others, they may be totally willing. But from what I've seen, the game itself is actually pretty good. So I've very much enjoyed this. This is something I might come back to another time, especially if I have friends over looking to play something. Because it's honestly a pretty solid game, and I really like the concepts they're using. The whole paint thing just feels really good. I really like the fact that it kind of does, you know, give you an incentive to use different lines and various other things. And there's some good risk reward balancing on whether or not you should be painting or boosting. You know, there's a lot of things done pretty well in this game. But I just want to say thank you guys so much for checking out this video. I really do appreciate it. We'll have more quick tastes up for you soon. I know we have a bunch of new games that just came in that we're checking out. We've got to get some time to spend with them so that we can get those up. Please do like and share these. It really does help us out a ton. If you guys have any questions about the game, feel free to ask. I'm more than willing to answer anything I can. Thank you guys so much, and later.